Let's take a look at point number 2. Okay, point number 2 is this: use their words. So if you're going to lead leadership well as a church communicator, as a communications director, as a church creative, then you need to learn this skill of using their words to present your ideas. Okay, so as you get to know your leadership, you need to understand what they want, and then when you present your ideas, you need to represent their words with your ideas baked into it. So again, this is a great. This is one of those things that could be a really big game changer for you, because when you learn how to do this really well, all of a sudden it's not your opinion versus their opinion. It's, hey, this is what is going to advance the ball, and this is what's going to help us move forward based on what you said. So I love this idea. I think it's kind of a biblical thing. You know, we're supposed to like know what God says in the Bible, and a lot of times we remind God of what He said. Not that God needs to be reminded; it's for our benefit. But we use Scripture, we say Scripture to kind of remind ourselves of like, here's what was said. It's the same idea. Like, how do we say, hey, so maybe there's an event coming up. Let's use Easter. Easter's a big one. Everybody has to, do Easter really well. And, but what if the goal of Easter was to get church membership to show up, like everybody in the church database to show up? Well, then now you can represent your ideas through that lens. So use their words to present your ideas.
That's so good. And I think the product of this, and it's really gonna, a lot of these points are gonna go back to this idea, but it's gonna build trust and credibility over time. So what you're gonna realize is when you continue to do this, that shows your leader that you're listening. It shows your leader that you understand, and also shows your leader that you care. So when you go back and you tell them, hey, you said this, and I think that we should do this because of this. Now you have a listening ear, because it's not just about your idea. You're trying to bring to life something that maybe God put inside of them. Now, here's what's going to happen when you do that over time. When you do it over time, you're going to realize that your leader is going to start coming to you when they have an idea, and they're going to start presenting their ideas to you in advance. And what's going to happen is you're actually going to have, again, when it back to that word leadership, you're going to have influence in the decision-making process of their ideas, because they've witnessed that you are a person that you're going to take action and you're going to bring things to life. So I know that, when I started out at my church, I came in from another church, and I was just, I just came in as the camera guy. I had a camera. I'm like, hey, I'll take some photos. I just want to serve, be a part of something in the city. And what I kept doing over time is I just kept presenting ideas, but it was based on, because my pastor said something, I heard it, I took a note of it, and then I came back and I proposed ideas around that very thing that he said. Now I'm no longer at that church because I moved from Florida to Texas, but my pastor would always say, so I started off as a camera guy, worked my way up to the executive pastor. And it's not because I was chasing a position, but it's because, one, I was an owner, and it was a church plant. I was an owner, and because I was an owner, because I went through the whole process of leading a creative team, because again, I was just listening to what he said and finding ways to bring it to life. Listening to what he said and finding ways to bring it to life. Now, over time, my pastor, he began sharing his ideas with me. So if God gave him something, then he would sit me down and say, hey, listen to this, right? Because I built that trust and credibility over time with him. And that's exactly what's going to happen if you commit to doing that as well.
So there was a men's event. I remember at one of the when I was a communications director, and we sat down, and I got the vision of the pastor of like, hey, what is this? What are we trying to do with this men's event? And the big idea was to invite, to be a really good event that men could invite other men, coworkers, maybe family members, neighbors. That was the goal of the event. Like, how can we create a great event where people can come and just have a great time. So fun was a big thing that they wanted to communicate. So we kind of unpacked it in the initial meeting, like, hey, what are we trying to do? And so all these ideas came out. So then I remember having another just further discussions about, okay, so what are we going to do at this event? And so based on what we said, we were able to say yes or no to ideas. So based on what we said, I was able to come up with like, here's a concept for a promotional video that we can do, those type of things. So that idea of like using their words to present your ideas, it came into play, and we ultimately got to see the most people attend that men's event than any other men's event in the history of the church. So one of the ways we did this was that we created this video that was fun and playful. It was a kind of a funny video that was a skit and all that. So we went down that road of like creating a funny thing. And then when we presented the idea of like, hey, we're going to do this funny video, we said, hey, based on what you said, we wanted a event that was inviting and fun and playful that men would want to invite their coworkers to and that type of thing. So we think the video, instead of being like this dramatic video that was really intense, we wanted to do this video that was more fun and playful. So then that idea got approved. And sure enough, when we showed that video in the auditorium to promote the event, it was a big hit. Like, people laughed, it was good. And the result of that video, plus the other promotions that we did, again, all the other printed promotions were in line. Like, they were fun and playful. I think we did like a big mustache as a theme, for all the promotions and stuff like that. But we just represented the ideas through the lens of, hey, you said you wanted this idea to be inviting and fun and playful. And then we were able to then execute it. Now, on the back side of this, we actually the event happened. A lot of guys were there. We had food at the event, and we're afraid we're going to run out of food and all that stuff. Good problem to have. But then there was like an evaluation meeting, like afterwards, where we just how did this event go? And there were a few things that happened at the event where we're like, you know what? Based on what we promoted, we probably shouldn't have done this. We probably shouldn't have done that. Those type of things. So we were able to then use that and evaluate it. So I think one of the things that I learned was that we need to have really good, conversations in advance. Write down so as the creative person, pay attention, be responsible to write down the notes. Like, you be the person on the whiteboard that's writing down all the stuff that people are saying and organizing it. And like, you be the one that's capturing all that. And then when you like take a picture of it with your phone. So I'm trying to give you some practical things of like what you can do. Take a picture of it of your phone so you don't lose it. Maybe then put it into a document or something. And then when you present design concepts for the invite card or the screen or whatever you're providing, present those. Don't just say, here you go. Present it back to the church leadership. Present it back to the men's department leader and be like, okay, here's what you said, and present those words. Like, here's what you said. And then after that, present the design. So again, it's not my opinion. It's not your opinion as the creative, like, here's what we should do. It's no, actually, here's what you said. And in a way, like, this sounds kind of, but just to prove a point, in a way, if they don't like it, then they don't like their own idea.
Ding, ding, ding. It's so good.
So then you're able to say, hey, based on what you said, here's the result of it. And then again, everybody wins. Like, you're just trying to serve people. That's just, you're not trying to be manipulative. You're just serving people really well by listening well and then presenting through that lens.
Yeah, that's so good, because I've seen the same thing in both the church world and the agency business world as well. Is that whenever you're working with anybody, whether it's your leadership or a client, it's good for you to have a good understanding of what they're trying to achieve. So, for example, if your pastor says, hey, I want to do this men's event, and it's going to require you, one thing in the lane of you being responsible is the best leader is not the one that has the most to say. The best leader is the one that usually has the most questions, right? So when you're in those rooms, you have to be asking questions. Who are we trying to target? Who do we want to appeal to? right? So for example, if we're running down the lane of that men's event, because in the creative world, what you're going to realize and where a lot of the frustration comes in is in the ideation of creativity. And here's the fact of the matter. The fact of the matter is creativity is subjective, right? I've worked with many different churches, hundreds of different churches, doing different designs and all of these different type of things. And I've seen it time and time again. Creativity is subjective. What you may find creative or fun or what you may like, somebody else might hate, right? So the idea behind this is that when you use their words, right, then you can use that to lead them to a better decision. So for example, in the men's event, if we want to appeal to men and then someone proposes the idea of, hey, let's use a sans serif font, then we might be able to say, well, I'm not opposed to the sans serif font, but we said that we wanted to appeal to men, and that's not a font that really appeals to men. Now, here are a few fonts that appeal to men. We can use Anton, we can use Montserrat Bold, and you see that now that I shot down the idea, right? We're not going to use the sans serif font, but it's because that we said that we wanted to appeal to men, right? We wanted to appeal to a certain audience. So, hey, no, maybe we're not going to use the color pink or orange in this design, because we said that we wanted to appeal to men and we wanted to feel masculine, strong, and sturdy. So now here are a few options that communicate that, right? And now if they go against it, they're going against what Michael said, their very own idea and their very own goals of who they're trying to appeal to.
So as a communications director, what you're trying to do is really set up this idea like, hey, let's work together to advance the ball together as on the same team. And by using their words, you're able to accomplish that. So again, this is one of those tactics that's going to help you out quite a bit as you are looking to lead leadership.